Well, welcome to week 35 in 2022, the year we learn to listen to love. Hildemore is delighted to be here again to read a newsletter to you. I'm Janet Connor, prayer artist, mystic witch, mistress of the thresholds, producer and director in the Theater of the Miraculous, author of a whole bunch of fun new books coming your way. And it's been a while, hasn't it, since we were together for a newsletter like this. It's because it's rare for me to be sick. Very, very, very rare. She's laughing. But I have not had the energy. I just have not been able to come to you in this way with the newsletter. So it's fun to be here with you. Yes, it is. Let's see if I can get this over. See, it's been so long since I've done this that, wait a second, how do I get the newsletter over here so I can read it to you? And the answer is, I don't know. All right. Is that the way it's going to be? I think that's the way it's going to be. Oh, here we go. See, it really has been a while. So this newsletter, which came out on Sunday, last Sunday, and if you want to receive the newsletters, notes from the field in your email box so that you don't have to wait for when Hildemore and I get it together to record it, there's a link to the blog down below. This newsletter is about Theta. Theta, soul writing, neural pathways, and you. And this newsletter comes with a very special guest. So in week 25, we are listening to the voices of the animals, the trees, and the rocks. And if we can do that, why can't we listen to the voice of the planets and the stars? Friends, soul writers, mystics, witches, lovers of prayer, and now I think we also have to add lovers of the mystery and mythology of astrology. It doesn't seem possible, but as of this April 2022, I have now been listening to the voice of the sacred feminine on the pages of my soul writing journals for 25 years. If I opened those doors behind me, every single journal, 25 years of journals are in there, plus 3 shelves to my left. Treasures, they are treasures. But when I say 25 years, it really startles me. How is it possible that I have had a conversation with this sacred divine voice on the page for 25 years? Now I show up every single day with a journal on my lap, and I ask for and I receive guidance and wisdom and grace that is beyond my understanding, beyond my capacity. But it took me years, really quite a few years, to understand the treasure that I had stumbled upon and uncovered on the page. It took me almost a decade, 9 years, to work up the courage to write a manuscript and a proposal and submit it to a publisher, and the publisher accepted it. And Writing Down Your Soul came out January 1st, 2009. Now, for the manuscript, I knew how to teach you, how to convey to you how simple soul writing is. There's 4 chapters in the book. Show up. This is the magic. You gotta show up. Whatever your spiritual practice is, keeping a dream journal, nature walks, whatever, you got to show up, and you've got to show up every day. Then you have to open up. This is where attempts at being a mystic while staying within the strictures and constriction of law and theology and religious training and dogma gets in the way. Because you got to open it. You got to strip all that away. You got to be real, naked, ecstatic, terrified. You have to open up. Third, you got to listen up. What is the point of asking for guidance and direction and then not listening to the guidance that comes? And then fourth, the one that changes your life, you got to follow up. You got to bring it to life in your own life. I knew how to convey that to you. And it's all right here in Writing Down Your Soul. What I didn't know and had to go do research on was how to tell you, how to prove why this is so effective. Why is writing the most effective spiritual practice on the planet? So I started with psychology. Dr. James Pennebaker, 35 years of research on the efficacy of writing. The man is a saint, and he clearly proves that writing, even for very brief periods of time, every day, changes your life. And then I popped over to Candace Pert. Candace Pert should have won the Nobel Prize. I say that every time I think of her, because she's the one who proved that your emotions are nowhere in here. They're not even in your heart. We always have a tendency to say, oh, my emotions are in my heart. No, they're not. They're in every single cell of your body. So there's like emotions in your skin cells, your capillaries, your little toe as neuropeptides. You see, she should have won the Nobel Prize. So your entire body is a brain, a vibrant, ecstatic, wildly flexible information network, right? Now, I pored over everything James Pennebaker had ever written, and the big one from Candace Pert is Molecules of Emotion. And it became very clear that writing absolutely changes your life because it changes your idea, your thinking in this body brain, not this brain, your whole body brain. The key words that I kept stumbling upon over and over again are neural pathways and neural plasticity. There's a ton of research. You don't need Janet to tell you that your brain is not a static organ. It's alive, it's wildly dynamic, and it responds to new ideas, especially new ideas in writing. Now, all of that research is in the chapter in this book called Why Write? So I was ecstatic about this research. Ooh, psychology is talking about the efficacy of writing. Ooh, science, neuropsychoimmunology, I think is the term for Candace Pert's science. It's demonstrating all of this. But it wasn't until I stumbled into the third bucket, if you want to call them buckets of scientific information, brain waves, that I saw how this whole thing works together and how your life, your writing, your thinking, your whole body brain is alive and moving and responding because of brainwaves. Brainwaves are magic. Well, the theta brainwave is magic. It's pure, unadulterated, ecstatic magic. Everything I offer, teach, write about, all my intensives, everything I do is about helping you drop, 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 all the way to theta, and in a magic moment into the mystical theta brainwave state. That's when your life gets ecstatic and changes. Theta's the doorway. It's a doorway. I always quote Rumi, who said, people are going back and forth across the threshold where the two worlds meet. What do you think that threshold is? Why do I call myself a mistress of the thresholds? That means I'm playing in the mystical theta brainwave state, and I'm inviting you to come and play in the mystical theta brainwave state too. I have to go back and read. You see, I digress. I get so excited about sharing all this with you that I forget what's next on my newsletter. Theta is the doorway to breakthrough thinking, radical creativity, and real mystical experience. Now, I use the word real because we have been so conditioned to link this word mysticism to religious faith. Some people have found that there are faith-based practices that do help them drop into what I call the mystic, but most find that the regimental thinking of religion actually gets in the way. So when I say mystic or the mystic or mysticism, I am miles away from anything related to religion, dogma, theology, and law. When I say mystic, I'm talking about the way humans and all beings are wired, that neural body brain, the natural ability we all have to see and be seen, to hear and be heard, to connect and be connected. Sometimes that is with our eyes and our ears, but you do know that eyes and ears perceive a tiny, tiny, minuscule fraction of the information that's floating around us. We know, for example, that our human eyes see like less than 1% of the color spectrum. We don't see what bees see. We don't see what owls see. What else don't we see? What do you not see? There's a fabulous question to take into deep soul writing. We know that our ears hear just the tiniest range of available sound. Can you hear what a whale hears? No, you cannot. Can you hear what a bat hears? Can you hear what your dog hears? Do you know that elephants hear through their feet? They can hear something that's happening miles away and prepare for it. Hearing, sound is beyond, way beyond anything our human ears think they know. And smell. Now, I know the research says that a human being can smell thousands of distinct scents and identify them, especially when they're smells from the past that are linked to emotions, those neuropeptides, right? But, wait, I lost my place. But our noses missed almost all of what's happening in the world. Sharks, bears, your dog again. Now, how about feel? Can you feel the ley lines, the energy the earth is transmitting through the ground below your feet? We wish we could, but very, very, very few of us actually perceive that ley line energy entering our feet. Can you feel the movement of a dowsing stick? There are a few humans that can. I think that'd be so fun to learn to do. That energy is alive and real. We just don't know how to feel it. Now, when I pause to consider all this, and I invite you to pause to consider this, visualize whales singing songs that another whale can hear 10,000 miles away. What? Visualize or imagine bees mysteriously perceiving the exact moment that a particular pollen flower is ripe with perfect pollen. How about considering that indigenous peoples around the world, every continent, they have always felt and followed the ley lines of the earth and the ley lines of the sky. When I think about all that, what do you see? What do you visualize? What I begin to see is Mother Earth is a giant neural network. Mother Earth is a giant neural network. And she is connecting all her creatures, she's laughing and going, it was about time you got this. All her children, all her plants, all her animals, all her trees, all her rocks, all her insects, and okay, all her humans. And so I feel compelled to activate my theta dropping mystical practice of deep soul writing and deep soul listening and deep soul seeing to discover if these connections work. And they do. I know they do. One of the great surprises of soul writing is once you know how to activate a divine voice on the page, you can do it anywhere. You can watch a grasshopper mating, as I got to do last week. They make me so happy. And listen to their song, listen to their wisdom, listen to the message that they have for you. You can thank a snake. I'm blessed to have black racers here in Florida. And every single time I see one, and I saw one a few days ago, I just feel the blessing. I know the blessing. I hear the blessing. You can ask an animal that is blessing you with its presence the all-important question, tell me why you're here. Tell me why you're here. Tell me why you're here. And if you know how to drop into the mystical theta brainwave state, you will hear, I use the word hear very loosely, an answer. They're delighted. They are delighted to let you know why they have arrived in your life. I had my first animal communication experience about a year after I stumbled upon deep soul writing, so 1998. But I didn't understand what was happening at all. Since then, however, I have learned that I can, it's weird to say consciously slip into theta because the entire point of slipping into theta is to exit conscious mind. But I know how to slip into that threshold between worlds, and I have experimented and discovered you can not only talk to animals, they're easy. You can talk to trees. You can talk to rocks. You can talk to bear caves. You can talk to and be in communion with any part of Mother Earth's magnificent neural network. So one day, I wondered if Mother Earth and all her creatures are alive and in communion, then why doesn't it naturally follow that the universe is alive, is a giant neural network, and in conversation and communion with all of the parts, all of the people. And when I say people, I'm not talking about humans or just talking about humans. Why wouldn't it follow that the entire universe is alive and in communion? Why would our one little planet, beautiful and blue as she is, she's over here in this odd little corner, right, of the universe. She's teeny. Why would that be the only place that is a living neural network? So about the time I was holding this exact question, you know what happened? The James Webb Telescope began to send photos of the cosmos. And when you look at those images, all the tiny thoughts you think you have about who you are or who the Earth is or how vast and magnificent the universe is, it just shatters into the tiniest shards like a light bulb that bursts in your hand, right? So at this same exact perfectly synchronized a moment, I'm finding my place in the newsletter. I began a deep friendship with star sister and cosmethologist Marcia Wade. I began to read her newsletters. Are you reading Marcia Wade's newsletters? Star Sister Astrology? Start today. Marcia is unlike any other astrologer. The more I read from her, the more I sense that Marcia is holding a key that opens the door to this threshold between worlds, not just here on Earth, but in the cosmos. And that key is, ta-da, neural pathways, neuroplasticity. Not just human or Earth-sized neural pathways, but cosmic-sized neural pathways. I don't know, is this the most exciting idea you've ever heard? I think it's the most exciting idea I have ever dropped into. Marcia is the only person I know who can help us listen so deeply into the stories and songs and wisdom of the beings in the cosmos that we hear them, we see them, and they hear us, and they see us. And together, we build, we are this whole new, but really ancient and old neurological pathway, living cosmic brain. I invited Marcia to lead us in a radical new prayer intensive, The Goddesses of the Edge, part 1, to help us tune into some of these dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt at the edge of our solar system. As our ideas began to gel, she and I are talking about all of these beings in the Kuiper Belt, and we began to focus on 4 of them in particular. I made this shocking discovery. They've been talking to me all along. Even though I didn't know their names, I didn't even know they existed. They started to give me very focused prayers just in the first few weeks after Prayer Artist arrived in February of 2018. What? But wait, how is this possible? How is this possible? I have no explanation, no intellectual explanation, except that this neural pathway between these cosmic beings and me, these cosmic beings and you, these cosmic beings and everything and everyone in the cosmos is alive and open. It has always been open. And I think it's taken me 25 years of deep soul writing to be ready to hear them singing their songs. And they've been singing them all along. I've had these prayers, and it's only now in sharing them with Marcia, in relationship to Haumea, in relationship to chaos, in relationship to all 4 of these goddesses at the edge of our universe, our solar system, that I'm realizing they have been in my cosmoneurological pathways all along. So, how delicious would it be to really tune into them, to learn how to see them, to hear them tell us their ancient stories that are brand new to us, and to ask them to speak to us in our hearts, in our minds, in our bodies, and in our deep soul writing. This is magic, is it not? Truly, magic is afoot. Now, I have a hard time describing this. You've noticed I'm trying, but it's hard for me to get my hands around what is this magic. So I asked Marcia, hey, you explain it. So take a breath, couple sips of water. And step into the magical world of Star Sister, cosmethologist, and our guidance into communion with the goddesses of the edge, Marcia Wade.
So Janet, it's so thrilling and exciting to hear your words, which I've read, but in hearing them, they come alive, and I hear new levels of meaning, not only in what you're saying, but in what we've talked about. And so right there, that's the very heart for me of why I'm so excited about co-creating this space with you and whoever else wants to join us, because the same thing will happen. We will all discover things about each other, about this life, about this great mystery that we are made of and part of, and also things about ourselves that we could never have known in any other way. And the essence of why this is important, I think, is what I am learning from these four goddesses of the edge and all the edge dwellers, is that they are the parts of our solar system and of our own consciousness that are insistent that we recognize we're not nouns, we're verbs. We are becoming. And the more we become who we already are, but didn't know it until it came alive in us, then the more alive we truly are. We're not just undead, we are actually alive. And I do feel we're living in a time when there is so much undead, so many undead forms and so much undead energy in our world. It's neither fully alive nor fully dead. It's in this in-between state. And I do believe that the metamorphosis that our world is in, the new world that is, we can all feel it. It's ready to be born. That what is between us right now and that new world is all this undead energy. And to me, the goddesses of the edge, especially the four that we are going to dance with, listen to, sit with, behold, receive, and recognize inside of our own selves, these four goddesses they're like catalysts, they're like enzymes for this process of clearing away the undead energy so that this global metamorphosis that's taking place on planet Earth can go to the next stage. Each one of them is represents a particular phase in this activity of cutting through, releasing the undead and our attachment to it that keeps it alive in the world and in us, so that we can hold as much as we can of the chaos from which all creative activity arises, whether it's a painting or a universe. Chaos frightens us, but it's out of chaos that everything new happens. And then actually birth the new forms that are waiting to come through us, and realize that we're part of a very ancient, transformative, creative lineage that goes back to the beginning of the universe. And these goddesses of the edge, like, I can describe the process, but this is it's not a concept. It's a living energy. And as we co-create the space to meet these goddesses in a way they've never been met before. They come from all different cultural traditions in the world. They connect us to neural pathways across the planet and throughout the universe. I feel that we're not only going to be activating something profoundly creative in our own lives, but also in the life of our world. And when we look at our world, we can see how much undead energy is blocking the good future. So that's why I'm so excited. So excited, because I don't know anybody who you get this so deeply. I don't know, honestly, of anyone else with whom this could happen but you.
But us, let's
But us, yeah.
spread this magic. Now, you listening to Marcia, you have a tiny taste of just how exquisite it is to hang out with a cosmethologist. Yeah, I do. I feel this in my body. But this is the mystical adventure I've been on. And it's taken me a long time to get from my head into my heart and down into my gut. And my gut knows. And listening to this, your gut knows there's magic in the universe, so much more magic than we have ever been allowed to even consider. And so have a quick look at Goddesses of the Edge. It is called part one because there's a lot of them up there. And Marcia and I will be inviting you next year to meet some of the others. But we are going to begin. Be sure you watch this adorable video that Marcia and I made. And the picture we chose here is a picture of it's the Milky Way, right? This is a picture of the Milky Way. So the Kuiper Belt is a part of that. We will be exploring, Marcia will be showing us actual, well, you can't say pictures of the Kuiper Belt, but the way science helps us perceive where it is. Read all this that she wrote for us, and we will be meeting Joanna Haumea Chaos, and I give you the pronunciation here, Mbaba Moana Waraisa. I'm not doing too well. She's a Zulu goddess. We're all going to learn to practice to say her name. So take your time. Come over. The link to Goddesses of the Edge is just below. And after you see what it's all about, come down here and register and take a moment to read our bios because we wrote them in the first person. Not your typical, okay, Janet has these degrees and she's of this and she's of that. No, I'm telling you, my story. And I'm showing you where chaos is in my chart. What a queen. This is who you will get to know. You will find out where chaos is and all four of these in your chart. And then get to meet Marcia also in the first person and where her chaos is. Come and join us in this mystical, magical, first time ever. There has never been an intensive anything like this. Goddesses of the Edge, part one. Hilda Moore will be there. She's pretty excited that we are learning to listen.
I can hear Hilda Moore saying, finally.
It's about time. She has been completely tuned into the trees, the rocks. Can't you see that big grin on her face? For all time. And that's why she came to me, across the Atlantic Ocean, to teach me, which means teach you, how to open to the magic of this incredible universe we are so blessed to live in. Goddesses of the Edge. We open September 13th, and there is a UK watch party. Read all those details on the landing page.